Shalom, shalom. This is your brother, Kadar GMS Gulf Coast. I'd like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors are given unto the apostle, elders of Great Millstone, men who have labored and suffered in this truth for over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. I also like to send a shalom to the hopeful elect, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, the speckled bird scattered throughout the four winds of planet Earth, north, south, east, and west. I also like to send a shalom to the heads, to the various GMS camps, like heads and elders. Last but not least, I'd like to send a shalom to any of you Akim, not named GMS, but are out on the highways and hedges, doing the videos diligently, walking in one body and one spirit in Yahweh Shai, doing this work truthfully and with sincerity. To you all, shalom. Through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, all praise and honor and glory given unto the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I'm sitting just meditating. Scriptures say meditate. Ecclesiastes 39:1, and it reads, a.k.a. Sirach. And I'm just paraphrasing, you say be preoccupied in prophecy, So you meditating different things and whatnot, and thinking through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you're listening to these, or rather we are listening to these world sock puppets, world leaders, heads of states and whatnot, and the people that you don't see, as our beloved brother Karatazar always brings to the forefront. It's the powers that you don't see that are more powerful. So these statements, these prime ministers, these presidents, these sock puppets, hand puppets, are working for some people who are a lot more powerful than they are, and you rarely see them, if you see them at all, because we speak of the banking cartel, but in actuality we only name off what, one or two, maybe three at tops of the banking family, or maybe what, a third or an eighth of them, So these people, their biggest power is their secrecy, and that power is given from on high, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pursuant to it's like in John 3:27, a man can receive nothing unless it's given unto him from on heaven. But going into the secrecy of them, the public by and large, they don't care to know about any of that concerns them not. And as they say, more power to them, But anyway, there's been a lot of rhetoric going back and forth, especially in American news media, about them putting sanctions and, putting a blockade on the money, making it where countries like Russia and her allies can't make any money. And, war always starts with the money. There's a history of war starting with the money. It's just like a Jake in the streets, He may owe Jake $5 or $10, greatly multiply that, He may owe Jake $5,000 or $10,000. You dig what I'm saying? If that don't, and we know, first and foremost, that if you loan Jake some money, then that's men supposed to handle that responsibly. But we're not in the era of Jake abiding by the law fully and correctly. But the point being made is that there's going to be some action taken against someone if they owe another someone some money. That goes without saying. If you owe on your mortgage, they're looking to seize your home, or what they call foreclose it. If you're renting, you're giving an eviction notice. Money could be a lot of problems, and many wars have been behind money. Anyway, I want to read a little something here. This is let me start right here. It says right here, how is war profitable? What's a smart investment when the Fed raises interest rates? Anyway, then you got a little tag right here that says perpetual war, military industrial complex. So these things have been set in motion by very powerful men that you hear about in whispers and conversations, you know what I'm saying, passing. But to see them, that comes very far and few in between. They don't like standing in front of cameras. They don't like to be photographed for later down the road scrutiny. To try to pick out what they're doing, you know, pick apart what they're doing, trying to pick their minds, whatnot. They just rather they be the unseen force. But anyway, I want to read a quote here, if I may. This is Raymond Beck, works at U.S. Army. And it says Eisenhower, that's going into President Eisenhower. And I believe Eisenhower was general during the Second World War, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But he later turned president. I think he was the president, Dwight Eisenhower. I believe he was the president preceding John F. Kennedy. Don't hold me to that. But if my memory serves me correct, I do believe that's the case. But anyway, Eisenhower parting comments were a warning against the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower ended Truman's Korean War and maintained peace for 8 years. And that Truman's, I believe he was a senator. I want to say he was a senator. They actually did a damn documentary about him. I'm going to leave that alone because I hadn't gone into the history of him. But I remember these characters, you know, in time past. Truman, who plays him? I can't remember the actor play. Anyway, it says Washington similarly warned against foreign entanglements that get us into wars, and that's going into George Washington. See, these money, it's always been about the money, but then you have to ask yourself, well, who's supplying the money? Who's supplying the money? You understand? You when you ask yourself these critical questions, you have that critical thought, and you get to see, you know, the picture, the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua may reveal onto you a more vivid picture. You understand? You know, because, you know, they've been blurting out on the screens here for the last month or so about sanctions and, treating Russia like Cuba. They did Fidel Castro for years. You know what I'm talking about? You know, the way they was doing, and maybe still doing to the Venezuelans, which Israelites. They get your money. These countries, they get their money in their banks, primarily in London. That's what, you know, these Swiss accounts and whatnot, and they already have different write-ups and contracts and whatnot. Well, if you violate this and you violate that, like a 501c3, they can tie your money up. You know, Big Oil, I think it was Standard Oil or Mobil or some, they was talking about pulling out of Russia, you know, doing works with Russia. And I think BP Oil, and I believe that's British Petroleum, and Mobil, Exxon Mobil, you know, all of those places are based here in the U.S. As a matter of fact, I used to work at Exxon Mobil in Chalmette in the St. Bernard. You know, so they trying to tie up the money. And if you hold on to a man's money, then guess what? He gonna boot up. You know, it's just one more reason, to kick off things. Just that's basically what I'm stating. People tend to get aggressive about money, and United States is very strategic when it comes to that money. It says money drives the system of politics. After World War One, Americans became isolationists, blaming banks. Check this out, for our entry into Europe's war. That's who profits most: banks and contractors, huh? Just said ExxonMobil, these big businessmen, and manufacturing in the military-industrial complex. Let's see, continue reading this. Go on. In World War II, scientists also profited from the atomic bomb. They wanted the bomb used more than anyone to prove their research was useful and keep federal dollars flowing into universities, huh? Scientists discovered a cash cow to be milked daily. Historians in the country that wins a war go into overtime writing history to glorify the winners, justifying the war, and pretend it achieved major success and more. Disagree and you're unpatriotic, subversive, and an enemy of the people. Universities, historians, scientists, banks, bomb makers, weapon manufacturers, all profit at our expense. Bill Clinton profited from going to war in Siberia and Kosovo by distracting from the impeachment proceedings. See, there'd be a lot to be going on here in your own backyard that they'll use, things on a world stage to distract you from some very deviant, some very deviant and sneaky and underhanded things that they already got going on right here at the house. And you end up finding out about it 10 years later, after they done left office, and the damage has been done then. They're real strategic with their craftiness. Anyway, Democrats claim to fear Trump might do the same thing should an impeachment trial begin. The FDR profited from Federal Reserve, profited from World War II by drafting all the unemployed workers, paying them peanuts, and pretending he saved the economy and ended the Depression. Yeah. Anyway. Real quick, it says Fast Company. It says, guess which countries' companies profit most from war? And look, they got USA exclamation, USA exclamation, USA exclamation. And that 3 goes into understanding. Understand who is really pushing this, but gonna fail miserably. It reads, the United States is at the center of a great, colorful pinwheel of death, at least according to the latest infographic from Natalia Bronstein. What kind of name that is? Sound like one of those Jewish people. A data visualizer who focus on economic trends and political developments. She has worked to produce an interactive visualization of the world's top 100 arm-producing companies. It says, surprising no one, the United States makes more money on war than any other country. Really, it's not even close. Using the 2013 arm production database of the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or CIPRA, as her data source. Broomstein shows that 40 of the top 100 arm producing companies in the world are based in the United States, with Lockheed Martin case it's 78% of total sales, resulting in a nearly $3 billion worth of arm profit in 2013 alone. Boeing comprehensively only made 35% of its money on arms in 2013, but that's 35% was big money. Boeing made $4.5 billion in profits in 2013 just from selling arms and weapons. And and you think about it, a lot of the United States budget, the federal budget, the majority goes to defense. Yes. I think it was like the amount that they bailed out those banks back at the end of George W. Bush administration. I think it was a sum of almost $800 billion, somewhere around that number. That sound about the right number that they spend on defense, yearly. These folks are funding a lot of money into the military, into the defense, and and armory and all this, and they're spread throughout all the face of the earth for the most part. So how do you think they're going to defend this place when they're stretched so thin, stretched like a damn rubber band around a big old fat box? Rubber band from the pop, from the break. Anyway. Now, here are some of the countries that the United States have put economic sanctions on. And oddly enough, none of these countries are a friend of this place. So if you're not a friend, if you're not down with them, they're not going to allow you to make any money. Thus starving out your people, creating an enemy, you understand? And what does that do in retrospect? That gives them the motivation to go in and destroy you and your people. Yeah. This is wickedness 101, enchantment 101. They know what they're doing when they do this. But they're making a grave mistake. Well, we'll call it a mistake, quote unquote, by trying to pull this on people on the country of Russia. Because Russia armory is just as damn near matches NATO armory. And Russia, by and large, is one of the main natural resource providers in Europe. So this is going to cause a ripple effect. But the U.S. don't, when you have a people with a reprobate mind that cannot, when I go into reprobate, I mean just cannot do right. This is a country that guns down you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. You understand what I'm saying? With impunity, you could be running away from a cop and they shoot you down, shoot you in the back. There were laws in the books for that. But they ignore that because guess what? The majority of you so-called blacks, natives, and Native Americans, Seminole and Hispanics and whatnot, you're ignorant of these things. But the point is that they can gun you down mercifully in these streets and then turn around and sleep good at night. He shouldn't have run. If he hadn't done nothing wrong, why is he running? And the fact of the matter, you dead or gravely injured. You understand? These people have a reprobate mindset. Right does not exist in their vocabulary. None whatsoever. So they create these conditions with these companies that don't get along, or slack of these countries that don't get along with them. And in retrospect, they have the scenario already worked out. And this point in time in history, this and that and the third, we'll move on them. They just push you aside like you something that they'll deal with later. The whole time they created it. But I say this, Place is going down sooner than later. Anyway, countries that it says countries. All right, year introduced article. North Korea, 1950. United States relations. Let's see. Cuba, 1958. Embargo against Cuba. Iran, 1979 to 1981. It was lifted because they were trying to, I ain't gonna go into that. Anyway, reintroduced in 1987. And we know what happened after that. Saddam Hussein eventually got captured, and at least that's the way they portrayed it on TV, on the movie theater. Syria, 1986. United States sanctions. Which countries does the United States have economic sanctions against? This is something, it's serious here. It says, what are the sanctioned countries in 2020, 2021? You know what I'm saying? Why U.S. put sanctions on countries? Real quick, let me get into some scriptures and close up. Let's see. It's a dirty place, real quick. Let's see, these people are so proud that they can't see that everything is blowing up in their face. You know what I'm saying? They can't really see that. This is Isaiah 31 and 1. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt. No, that ain't the one. Okay, this is right here. Slakia. Oh, the wrong one. Isaiah 33 and 1. It says, woe to thee that spoileth, and thou was not spoiled. Hey, these people, these countries that the United States are so-called buddy with right now, they gonna turn on them eventually. You know what I'm talking about? Because you can go as far as to say they secretly putting they plans together to turn on this whole. That's what the scriptures consider this place as a whore, spreading all that wickedness throughout the spiritual fornication and democracy. Do as thou wilt and all that old crap there. You dig? These folks, the heads of these countries throughout the generations, they've seen how far and how low their people have failed by following the guides and following the footsteps of America. Now they may see some type of win here or there, or it may not be the right time to pull out on America, but eventually they're going to though. They're going to. Anyway, woe to thee that spoileth, and thou was not spoiled, and dealt treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, when they want to stop spoiling, you know what I'm talking about? Thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, Slakia, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Yes. That's what's gonna happen to this place. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen to this place. These other countries, they're just playing along, till they can see their opening. Because America still is a big bully, you understand? But just like all bullies, you waiting, Craig waiting to get his chance. He can pick that damn brick up and bust him upside the head, bust Debo upside the head. And, it's going to be pushed to that point, It's going to be pushed to that point. Let's see. This is Obadiah 1, and it says, this is Obadiah 1 and verse 5, and it says, if thieves come to thee, if thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? This is America. They come over there and suck you dry. And they're thieves. They come and take over your land. When they come over with the war plans and whatnot, they come with the reconstruction loans, the IMF, the International Monetary Funds, you dig what I'm saying? And loan you money with outrageous rates. Do your research. knowing them people can't pay that back. But the devil's in the details. If you can't pay back this in X amount of time, we're going to take over your oil fields or your resources for 100 and some odd years, things of that sort. That's what they do. That's what they do. It's a company out of Sweden that was leasing the land over there in Lake Mead. I worked at this place called Pabco in 2004 in Las Vegas. I stayed in Las Vegas for about 6 months, and I lived in Hawaii for about 6-8 months, And anyway, for that year I was gone, just working, and I found that the U.S. government was leasing the land, about 5,300 acres there behind Lake Mead, because the land right there in the Mojave, this certain plot, 5,300 acres, was full of gypsum. Gypsum, I think that's what they call it. It's good in toothpaste. They put it in toothpaste, sheetrock, And these are the type of deals that America does. You understand? But when they nation building, when they go over and destroy your land and bomb it and shell it all to the ground and push all your citizens out as refugees to other countries and whatnot, you dig what I'm saying? And then they turn around and set up a puppet government and loan them considerable amounts of dollars with an interest rate the United States itself couldn't pay back. But that's not the end all be all. They know that you can't pay that back. They want the land. You understand? He can never have enough. Like the scripture going into. If thieves came to thee, because this place, these people are nothing but thieves. They murder, they rob, they steal, they maim. And then they write up these draconian laws, deceitful laws, these mischief laws that favor them in the end. Spoiling. Just like we just read. Spoiling everyone. And these other nations up to this point ain't had no other choice. The bully got the biggest bat. The bully got the biggest gun. The bully got the biggest knife. But through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, through prophecy, he done about to level that out. and the United States can't come to grips with that. That you know what I'm saying? They met they match. If thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they have enough? If the grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Not America. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Research the internet. Hillary Clinton was quoted on saying, and this is you can go Google this, that we're losing the information war. They want to do away with the internet, and that goes into the famine of the word. The Most High is going to shut it down after a while. Once He's sealed His elect, it's going to be shut down. The work going to be done. All that's going to be saved, going to be sealed, and chaos going to ensue. That's shortly after. It says, all the men of thy confederacy. Now, this going into these other nations. Check this out real quick. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Yes, there's no understanding in this man. And these other nations are going to see that, or rather they're seeing this. They got Japan over there, acting, speaking as a mouthpiece for the United States. After the U.S. got them bombs together and went over there and flushed out about 4 or 5 cities. They only told you about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Totally erased them folks off the map. And some of the grandchildren and great-grandchildren being born right now with those abnormalities, those effects from that nuclear radiation, right now to the day. You think them folk forgot about that? These folks just playing along to the time is right. The scripture said, woe unto them that spoil us, and then And then when you want to just chill out, you know what I'm saying, and you see that the tide is turning, and they're going to realize now you want to stop. No, we all good. We friends. No, on my lick back. That's what these other nations going to do. They're going to turn on this place for long. SC verse 8, it says, shall I not in that day, said the Lord, Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Huh? They so slick and so smart, they stupid. They can't even see that demise coming. Or rather, they don't want to. Verse 9, it says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. That's going to be the end-all, be-all for these so-called white folks, including the Russians and their allies. Well, not, say, the Moabites or the Chinese and the Edomites, and, nothing. But I'm talking about, the so-called USSR, the Soviet Union, that they're going to try to put back together. All of those are Edomite nations. Ukraine, all those are Edomite nations. France, Germany, Britain, and, I'm not saying that they're on the same team. Yeah. But, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna get what's coming to them. Anyway, Lord willing, it was edified. I just want to bring out a few scripts. They throwing that word money around real loosely. Real quick, another one. I'm gonna end with this right here. Because all of that money, all of that's gonna work in. It's not gonna work in their favor. The money is funny, and this whole. If you get down to the root of it, as far as on the carnal side, it's all about the money. We know spiritually through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, it was all prophesied. Now, don't get me wrong. First and foremost, we give all praise to the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because this is His will. You understand? But on the carnal side, Esau, Edom side, you go look at the bottom line. It's about that money. You understand? It's about that money. All his wars start with money. They always start with sanctions and whatnot. Do your history. Google your history, you'll see. Even though some of the presidents warned of this, because war is profitable. According to the banking families, the banking cartels, war is profitable. So it's all about the money. If you can fund both sides, you in the end, you're going to own everything. You understand? They understood that. Scarily well. They understood that. The Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua gave them that understanding. But this is Ecclesiastes. I'm going to close out with this. This is Ecclesiastes 7 and verse, I'm going to start. Let's see if one days were better than these. Quiet was something this. I'm going to get straight to the point. Verse 12, and it reads, for wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. You should be wise to know that, listen, this money is funny, and you should be stirring up your treasures in heaven, doing your due diligence. Lord willing, you of that number, you understand? And you won't know until you know. You know? I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. This man currency is you can put a match to it. He's hoarded everything to himself, and he kept it in catacombs and underground bunkers and this and the third. He's going to vomit it up, but he's not going to be able to do that until Yahweh Shai is sent back here by his heavenly Father, Yahweh. So, he's going to great to make moves like, make everything that you got now in your account, move it to a digital deal, and then force free men, rich men, bond men, poor men, great men, force them to deal with him on a monetary deal, whereas he can keep track of every penny, every cent. They're gonna try to merge man with machine. You gonna be the currency. Hint, hint. So like it says, verse 12, Ecclesiastes 7:12. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. The wisdom of these scriptures, the knowledge and the wisdom of these scriptures gonna be the stability of the times. And don't put your faith in none of this money. I mean, ain't saying don't, try to, use common sense and have you extra, pack of food, extra pack of water, whatever the case may be. You dig what I'm saying? But if you do your research, you'll see in World War II, they was using the German dollar, had wheelbarrows full of it, burning it to stay warm. Lord willing, it was edifying. Lord willing, it was edifying. I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Double honors to the Apostle, Elders, Great Millstone. Shalom.